Bryson DeChambeau is different. Standing 6'1" and weighing 200 pounds, the first-year professional is built like a typical athlete despite being anything but. The physics major can be surprisingly scientific in conversations about golf. On the course, he sports a traditional cap a la Ben Hogan, and every iron in his bag is exactly the same length. Distinctively unique is one way of describing him. Bookworm is another, but the 22-year-old can play as well. Last year, he joined Phil Mickelson, Tiger Woods, Jack Nicklaus, and Ryan Moore as the only players to win an NCAA and U.S. Amateur Championship in the same year. Now DeChambeau is ready to prove he can succeed on the pro level too. Your unique style. It's natural for Bryson DeChambeau. It's unforced. Some people call it eccentric. You call it visionary, I would say.
Yeah, well, I'm a great experimenter, I would think. That's what I try and talk to everybody about, is that I'm no smarter than anybody else out there. I just love to tinker and mess around with things and try and figure out the best possible solution to a difficult problem. And that's what I've done here.
When you grew up, who were the guys that you idolized?
Hogan was a big influence, and Mo Norman was also a big influence. He helped me understand that I could swing on a single plane, just like he did, as well as Hogan, and the way he finishes, the way he looks, his style, his demeanor, and everything is quite inspiring to me.
When was the first time you were introduced to Mo?
I asked my coach, who's the best ball striker ever? And bar none, said Mo Norman. And I said, well, who's that? I didn't know at the time. And he says, from Canada. And I said, all right, I want to check him out. I want to see what his swing looks like. What does he do? And looked at his swing, I'm like, that's the best ball striker ever? And he goes, yeah. And in regards to that, Mo didn't hit it too far. He was more of a short striker, but in a sense, he hit it straight every single time, was super consistent. So I don't know what he had in him, but he had something that allowed him to hit it dead straight every single time. And I hope that one day I can get to the point where I don't have to worry about certain position in my stance or how I'm executing the shot. It just naturally happens because of I tailored my body to that type of motion.
So the single plane golf swing that we were just talking about, you take that development from a book, one of the most famous golf books of all time, Homer Kelly's The Golf Machine. What kind of an influence it was on you? Because I assume you were like 14?
15 at the time when Mike Shy, my instructor and coach, gave me that book. He threw it at me and said, you want to have the best swing out there? Here you go. And he threw this book at me at my chest, and I looked at it and I said, what is this? And he goes, this is The Golf Machine. You got to check it out. So I started reading it, had no idea what it was about for the first year to 2 years even. And I said, is this even possible? It was a zero shifting motion, and that's a single plane golf swing. He said, well, it's applicable to chipping, but it's not really applicable to full golf swing. I said, well, let me try. I want to try and do it. So I went all the way from an extremely bent over position to an extremely tall position, trying to figure out what is the best and most efficient body posture for that type of swing. And eventually I got to this point where I'm at today. It was the golf swing that allowed me to understand that I can't do it every single time with all these different types of lie angles on each club, with different clubs. You go from a pitching wedge or even a 60-degree wedge all the way up to a 3-iron and then to a driver. They're all changing lie angles. And I couldn't master that. And I looked at my coach as I said, I can't do this. What if you could keep all the clubs the same length? And so we literally went on a 3-week journey of trying to build a single length set of golf clubs. It was very difficult, very gruesome. Once I got that thing set in stone, I looked at it and said, okay, now what do we do? Once they were laying across the table, like, well, they're all the same length, let's go try them. So that day we went out, it was late at night, I dropped the ball at 200 yards and I said to Michael, this is gonna be the kicker. And so he looks at me and goes, yeah, let's just hit it, come on. So I get up there and hit this shot. It's 5-iron from 200 yards and it kept flying, it landed 200 yards. And I looked at Mike and said, this could change the game.
Is Bryson DeChambeau a trendsetter? Does he want to be a trendsetter?
Well, I don't necessarily want to be a trendsetter. I want to be somebody that helps other people out in the game of golf. I believe that there are ways to go about it that can make it easier and more fun and more enjoyable. The reason why I do these things is so that people can understand this is a fun and enjoyable game. Let's make it that way. Despite what many would call a quirky style and unique take on the game, I expect Bryson DeChambeau to be a major force and a major champion in professional golf in the years to come.